Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for having me in your apartment. Thank you for coming on to the Faking It podcast. It's really great to be here with you. First, I just want to say your apartment is beautiful.
Thank you.
Like, so cool. Like, this is an inspiration for me. Just the vagina and orgasm and sex stuff everywhere. It's just excellent. Like, it's excellent. It's comfortable. It feels good. And in the bathroom, it says, God is not the only one watching.
Yep.
What did you mean by that?
So that was actually a present from the designer Jeremy Scott many years ago, because I went to a fashion show he had here in New York, which was a series of kind of staged tableaus. And one of them had a couple of models dressed as angels cavorting on a big bed in heaven. And with that mirror above it saying, God is not the only one watching. Yeah. And I just loved it. And so Jeremy very kindly sent me that mirror as a birthday gift that year. Very cool. So that's why I think it's rather fun. It's fun in the powder room.
It is very fun. It is very fun in the powder room. And I think your story is very fun and very interesting too. So you went from working in advertising in England to starting your own porn website and movement.
No, Miriam. Not porn. Not porn.
Not porn.
Social sex.
Social sex. Okay. I want to elaborate on the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Because I'll just say that I was watching some of it this morning and it felt like porn to me.
No.
But in an empowering way.
Yeah. No. So here's the thing, Miriam.
Okay.
It's indicative of how fucked up as a society we are about sex.
Yeah.
That people, including you, think, anything involving people having sex in video must be porn.
Okay.
It's not. Because porn is scripted, produced, performative entertainment.
Got it.
Okay, it's been specifically, like movies, TV, etc.
So porn is scripted, is what you're saying.
It's performative.
Performative.
It's performative produced entertainment.
Okay, got it.
And so the way I encourage people to think about make love, not porn. And bear in mind, our tagline is make love, not porn is pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so if porn is the Hollywood blockbuster movie, make love, not porn is the badly needed documentary.
Got it. Okay.
We are a unique window onto the funny, messy, loving, wonderful, comical ways we all have sex in the real world.
Right.
And I created Make Love, Not Porn because I date younger men.
Yeah.
They tend to be in their 20s.
Okay.
And I realized through my direct personal experience dating younger men that when we don't talk openly and honestly about sex, porn becomes sex education by default in not a good way.
Right, totally.
And so I'm a very action-oriented person. I set out to change that.
Okay.
And so what I've done with Make Love, Not Porn is something very simple but unique, which is, I want to enable everybody in the world to feel able to talk openly and honestly about sex.
Yes, amazing.
And so I simply took every dynamic in social media and I applied them to this one area of universal human experience that no other social network platform will allow.
Okay.
And so when I say that Make Love, Not Porn is social sex, we are effectively what Facebook would be if it allowed you to socially, sexually self-express, which it doesn't. So, we are simply where people do what they already do on every other social platform, in every other area of life, which is
user-generated.
Capture what goes on in the real world spontaneously as it happens in all its real world, again, funny, messy, accidental, wonderful, moving, touching humanness.
Yeah, very cool. And
does that make sense?
That
do you understand now why we're not porn?
Yeah, so to explain what you're saying that porn is performative. It's created in a way to just like be fake and kind of it's not user generated. It's produced sex.
Yep.
And what you're talking about, social sex is real. Yeah, it's kind of between real people. They create it, they upload it. It's really just them having sex. It's like it's a home video.
It is, but it's a home video in a very different way.
Okay.
To what people might think. And I say that, Miriam, because obviously in the world of porn, there is a huge genre which is known as amateur.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, at Make Love Not Porn, we have a problem with the word amateur because it implies the only people doing it right are the professionals and the rest of us are bumbling idiots.
Interesting.
Okay? So we have an issue with that
I like
term.
That. Yeah.
But the thing about, for example, the amateur porn section on Pornhub is all too often the amateurs are replicating what the professionals do. because they think that's what people want to see.
Right.
And also, by the way, there's a ton of amateur porn out there that isn't. You know, there are professional porn companies producing content masquerading as amateur because it's what people want to see.
Yeah.
I have to say to men all the time, those dorm rooms don't exist, you know. Okay.
Right.
Now, in our case, you know, I very deliberately set out to design a platform through the female lens to be something unique. And I think one of the important things to know, Miriam, is where Make Love Not Porn fits in the context of the tech landscape as a whole. Because what I mean by that is the young white male founders of the giant tech platforms that dominate our lives today, they are not the primary targets, online or offline, of harassment, abuse, sexual assault, racism, violence, rape, revenge porn. Therefore, they did not and they do not proactively design for the prevention of any of those things on their platforms.
100%. Yeah.
And we see the results of that around us every single day.
Right. Totally.
Those of us who are most at risk every single day, women, Black people, people of color, LGBTQ, the disabled, we design safe spaces and safe experiences. I and my tiny team spent literally years concepting, designing Make Love Not Porn before we ever built it.
That's awesome.
Because we knew if we're going to invite people to do something they've never ever done before, socially share their real world sex, we had to think through every possible ramification of that to create a completely safe and trustworthy space.
I love that. Yeah.
And as a result, not only does Make Love Not Porn operate unlike anybody else in the adult sphere, we operate unlike anybody else on the internet, period. And that's because I designed Make Love Not Porn through the female lens to be the safest place on the internet. Because I designed it around what everybody else should have. Nobody else did: human curation. There is no self-publishing of anything on Make Love Not Porn. Our curators watch every frame of every video submitted from beginning to end.
That's crazy.
Before we approve or reject, and we publish it. Nobody else does that. We also review every post on every member profile. And by the way, on Make Love Not Porn, your profile posts, you know, photos, text, illustration, they can be as safe work or not safe work as you like. But we review them, we approve or reject, we publish them. No one else does that. We review every comment on every video before we approve or reject and we publish it. No one else does that either.
How is that sustainable? How does that work?
We are tiny bootstrapping. We have no money. And we've been human curating everything for 10 years. Imagine what Facebook, YouTube, you know, Snapchat, TikTok could do with their billions if they wanted to.
Right, totally. 100%. I mean, like the fact that there's human trafficking rings that function through Facebook groups, you know, there's been,
absolutely.
And that's not like something that we talk about. It's not something that anybody really cares about, which is so upsetting. I mean, they could obviously do things about it. They do obviously know.
But you know, with their billions of dollars, if they wanted to human curate everything, they absolutely could.
But then that's the question. I mean, like, we don't have to go into it, but I'm sure that's what people talk about, like in terms of free speech and like having platforms where anybody can publish anything. But to what you're saying, it hurts people a lot of the times too, especially when it comes to porn. I know on Pornhub, there's been tons of cases of 9-year-old girls having, you know, being raped, and then that video being uploaded to Pornhub and their family trying to get these videos down and it just being impossible. And I'm using quotes because, you know, obviously Pornhub can do something about it if they wanted to.
No, exactly. But because, you know, here's something else that we do at Make Love Not Porn that nobody else does. Our commitment to our contributors, and we call our Make Love Not Porn stars, our commitment to them is the moment anything changes, your relationship, your life, your circumstances, even just your mind, you tell us, we take your videos down immediately and they're gone. And when I say immediately, what I mean by that, Miriam, is on Make Love Not Porn, there is no process. There's no online form to fill in. There's no waiting period. There's no back and forth. You simply message us. You tell us, I want my videos down, we take them down. One of our Make Love Not Porn stars emailed us the other day. Within 10 minutes of receiving that email, their videos were gone. By the way, the slightly entertaining thing about this is, so we are real world sex. Okay? People are sharing the sex they have in their real world relationships. And in the real world, people break up. So we'll get a message going, guys, so sorry, we broke up. Can you take our videos down, please? And we'll go, damn, 30 amazing videos, they've all got to go. But obviously we do. Then a few months later, hi, we got back together again. Can you put them back up? And believe me, there are some Make Love Porn star couples where that happens on a regular basis.
That's really interesting.
But basically, whether you want them up or down, We just do that.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
I would love to find out more about how this came to be. So I know that it started from you saying this TED Talk about make love, not porn. You want to like go into what inspired you to do that, and also what got you so comfortable with real sex. So I even think that's something that's so radical today too. You know, so how did you get to this mindset of like, this is what real good sex is?
Sure. So basically, Miriam, the honest answer is by complete and total accident.
Okay.
So everything in my life and career has happened by accident.
Yeah. Amazing.
I've never consciously planned anything.
Yeah.
And Make Love Not Porn was a total accident.
Okay.
So how it came about was, I date younger men. And just for the benefit of our audience, I'll contextualize that as well, because I am somebody who has never, ever wanted to be married. Okay. I've never wanted children.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Very happy I always knew that, as opposed to finding out the hard way by having them.
Right.
I am not a relationship person.
Yeah.
I adore being single.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to die alone. And I date younger men casually and recreationally for sex.
Cool.
And I'm deliberately very public about all of that because we don't have enough role models in our society.
Totally.
For women and for men, by the way, that demonstrate you can live your life very differently to the way you're expected to and still be amazingly happy.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the happiest people I know.
So just even that I think is just so incredible, especially because I grew up in like a religious community where all my friends right now are married with children. I'm 23 years old. They have multiple children at this point too. And so I have been around people in religion and then also even in secular society at Stanford, where I have friends from Stanford who graduate and what they want to do is get married.
Oh my God.
And if that's what you want, okay. But people, like, there's a joke, it's a running joke that they're getting a bachelor's in like finding a partner at Stanford because that's what they want to do after. They just want to get married and have their husband or partner support them. So this rhetoric isn't just religious. It's secular too, that you still need to get married. Even for me, I would say that I'm single right now and I still like feel sad about that sometimes. How are you like this? How does that work?
Well, first of all, by the way, 63 years of life. Okay. So this is how sensible you get as you get older.
Right.
But also, Miriam, the depressing thing is what we're talking about is social conditioning.
Right.
And, from the moment we're born as women, everything around us conspires to tell us that our entire life is a search for the one. And what that means is, in your teens and your 20s, every social event you go to, and I'm straight, so I'm going to use, straight terminology here, but every social event you go to, will he be there? And first of all, what that means is you spend ages glamming up, making yourself look really attractive. You go to that event, that conditioning forces you to compete with other women. A dynamic that I deplore, compete for, like the desirable ones, whatever. Then at the end of the night, you schlep on home going, he wasn't there tonight, maybe next one. What a waste of goddamn time. So one of the best moments in my life, and this wasn't a moment per se, it was a gradual realization. At some point in my 30s, I went, sod this, I'm not looking for the one anymore. Oh my God, the relief. Because then I could just go to social events and enjoy myself. And so, I really encourage people, take a long, hard look into yourself and ask yourself what really makes me happy.
Okay.
Do you really want a partner? Or is it what your parents expect, what all your friends are doing, what popular culture tells you? There are so many people living lives they don't really want to be living because they just slip into those oiled grooves of social conditioning where what you do is you find a partner, you get married, you have kids without even stopping to think for a moment. Do I really want to be with somebody? Do I really want to have children? And I just want many more people to ask themselves that question. What really would make me happy?
Do you think that, because I know from like my guy friends and my like female friends that the women tend to want love more than men?
Bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
But do you, because I think I really, this is one thing about like femininity that I actually am not sure of. Like I'm a huge feminist, but when it comes to love, I don't know. I do think that women want love more than men want love in that context.
I completely disagree, Miriam.
Okay,
and I'll tell you why. Because I'll
tell you why I think this too. But you go first.
So I designed Make Love Not Porn to be fully diverse and inclusive. And we are. Our members and our Make Love Not Porn stars are male, female, trans, non-binary, LGBTQ, straight, all races and ethnicities. But here's the interesting thing. In the 10 years that Make Love Not Porn has operated as a business, we've observed that we are especially a revelation to men. More men send us appreciative emails, leave appreciative comments than anybody else because we are something utterly unique that men will find nowhere else on the internet, which is a a safe space where men can be and watch other men being open, emotional, and vulnerable around sex.
Mm-hmm.
You would not believe the number of men who write to us and say, I just watched my first video, Make Love Not Porn, and afterwards I cried.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've been saying for years, I wish society understood the opposite of what it thinks is true.
Mm-hmm.
Women enjoy sex just as much as men.
Right.
And men are just as romantic as women.
Mm-hmm.
Yet neither gender is allowed to openly celebrate either fact, and we'd all be a whole lot better off if they were.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up a wonderful Twitter exchange last year between two men.
Okay.
The first man had tweeted, he was obviously joking, by the way. He tweeted, hey guys, I've got this really weird fetish.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this kink where I want to watch porn where people are honest, loving, loyal, decent, and really like each other. Hit me up with your hottest things, please.
Yeah.
And another man replied to him and he said, there's this website called Make Love Not Porn where you can watch real couples fucking and making love.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I watched a video where the woman said to her man, I love you, while they're making love. He said, sincerely, I cried when I heard that.
Mm.
I promise you, men want closeness, intimacy, romance, love as much as women do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that toxic masculinity and the patriarchy has stifled boys and men to believe they have to fit into what Mark Green, who writes about this a lot, calls the man box.
Okay.
And Make Love Not Porn is part of blowing that man box apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, we get amazing emails and comments from men. You know, one man left a comment on a video where he said, you make me want to be a better man in the bedroom and in life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
We are transforming men at Make Love Not Porn.
Yeah, no, that's really, really incredible. And so this website, and in terms of porn, like you're saying that...
Right. Sorry, so I realize we've drifted from your original question because you were asking how Make Love Not Porn came to be.
Yes.
So let me just benefit our listeners answer you on that one.
Sounds great.
So there I was 15, 16 years ago, dating younger men.
Right.
When I began realizing through my direct personal experience having sex with younger men that I was encountering what happens when two things converge.
Okay.
And I stress the dual convergence, Miriam, because most people think it's only one thing.
Okay.
I realized I was experiencing what happens when today's, totally ubiquitous access to online porn meets society's equally total reluctance to talk openly and honestly about sex. It's when those two factors converge that porn becomes sex education by default in not a good way.
Right.
So I found myself encountering a number of sexual behavioral memes in bed. I went, whoa, I know where that behavior is coming from.
Okay.
I thought, gosh, if I'm experiencing this, other people must be as well.
And was this new experiences that were happening, out of the, just...
Yeah, because, remember, this is 15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
Nobody was talking about this at the time. Nobody was writing about it. This was me in isolation going... if I'm experiencing this, other people must be as well.
Right. And what about pre-porn? Were you experiencing that with men
pre-internet porn?
Yeah, pre-internet porn.
No, absolutely not. Because
interesting.
Because again, bear in mind, I'm 63. Okay.
Right.
So I'm old enough to remember back in the day when it was enormously important to the men I slept with that I came.
Okay, cool.
That I came first.
Interesting.
That I came at least once, if not, on a number of occasions. If I did not come, nobody was going anywhere till I came.
Wait, so this is what was normal pre-internet porn?
Yep. I remember those days very fondly.
What?
Okay.
This is shocking to me.
Now, bear in mind, Miriam, that, these days, and I am very selective about whom I date. Okay. I meet the younger men I date on cougar dating sites.
Okay.
Love cougar dating sites. Cool. I applaud the rise of niche dating sites where everyone knows why they're there.
Yeah.
But no matter how casual the relationship, I have one fundamental criterion. They have to be a very nice person.
Yes, love it.
I have amazing radar for very nice people.
Yeah, cool.
As a result, I only date utterly lovely younger men in an atmosphere of mutual trust, respect, affection, liking. And nevertheless, in bed with these utterly lovely younger men, I see them modeling the behavior in bed that says my dick is the center of the universe.
Interesting.
And that's because they've internalized what male lens porn has taught them, which is it's all about them.
Right.
It's all about their orgasm. It's all about their dick.
Yeah.
The women are there to service them.
Yeah.
And so, this is why Make Love Not Porn is literally sex education through real world demonstration.
Yeah.
Because I designed Make Love Not Porn around my own beliefs and philosophies. One of which is that everything in life starts with you and your values.
Yeah. Love it.
So I regularly ask people this question. What are your sexual values? And no one can ever answer me because we're not taught to think like that.
Right.
Our parents bring us up to have good manners, a work ethic, sense of responsibility, accountability. Nobody ever brings us up to behave well in bed.
Right.
But they should, because in bed, values like empathy, sensitivity, generosity, kindness, honesty, trust, respect. Those values are as important in bed as they are in every other area of our lives where we're actively taught to exercise them. And so Make Love Not Porn's mission ultimately is to end rape culture. And we end rape culture by doing something very simple that nevertheless nobody else is doing. We end rape culture by showing you how wonderful great consensual communicative sex is in the real world. Our social sex videos role model good sexual values and good sexual behavior. And here's the important part. We make all of that aspirational versus what you see in porn and popular culture. So that's it. That's the solution.
So there's two things I want to touch on for what you just said. So one, the boys, the men that are watching these porn, girls too, I think also is like, we fall for it too. I remember
absolutely.
The first time I decided to have sex, I was 21 years old with a guy. It was like my second or third date with him. He like wanted to come on my face. He was choking me. There's like all of these things that were happening. I was just like, what is going on? And this is my first time having sex ever. And it was a lot, you know?
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. And especially like you said, what I think, which is so interesting that you said, it's not just the porn that you watch, it's the lack of communication and conversation around sex. That I didn't have the words to say, like, this hurts, you know, or I didn't have the words to say, like, let's try something else. Like, was never taught how to speak up in bed. I was never taught to do that. I was taught to follow the motions of the man, you know, and that's what I did. And I would only spoke up when it was like legitimately painful, where I was like, don't choke me. Like, that was it. But that was to the extent. And I was talking to many other people, my friend, my cousin, who I'm like, you know, I heard from many people that boys aren't even kissing. They're not even kissing girls anymore. They're just like banging it out, you know? And it's just like porn is really teaching like kids violent sex, and it's getting more and more extreme. So I think it's really interesting that you're talking about that.
And you know, I would just emphasize, Miriam, you know, and I'm so sorry you went through that. The issue isn't porn. The issue is we don't talk about sex in the real world. And the reason Make Love Not Porn's end goal is to make it easier for everyone to talk openly and honestly about sex is because we don't talk about sex currently, it is an area of rampant insecurity for every single one of us.
Totally.
We all get vulnerable when we get naked. Sexual ego is very fragile. And people therefore find it bizarrely difficult to talk about sex to the people they're actually having it with while they're actually having it.
Totally.
Because in that situation, you are terrified that if you say anything at all about what is going on, if you comment on the action anyway at all, you will potentially hurt the other person's feelings. You'll put them off you. You will derail the encounter. You'll potentially derail the entire relationship. But at the same time, you want to please your partner. You want to make them happy. Everybody wants to be good in bed. No one knows exactly what that means. And so you will seize your cues on how to do that from any way you can. And if the only cues you've ever seen are in porn, because your parents never talked about sex, because your school didn't teach you, because your friends aren't honest, those are the cues you're going to take to not very good effect. In 14 years of Make Love Not Porn, I have so many stories that people wrote to us with, told me, you know, I mean, one girlfriend of mine, you know, she'd met this guy, they're getting on along really well, really liked each other, you know, third date, they had sex. And, you know, he called her a dirty little whore and a slut and, you know, and so afterwards she said to him, why did you say that? And he went, well, the girls in porn really like it when you say that to them. I mean, this is literally, everybody wants to know what to do in bed. When we're not educating, we're not telling them in the real world. And so their cues come from porn. And by the way, it is not porn's job to educate. Many things are laid at porn's door that should be laid at society's. And so Make Love Not Porn is unique in that we are, as I said, we are pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference.
Got it.
We show you what great sex really is in the real world. And it's important to stress also that, you know, we exist to celebrate the full glorious spectrum of human sexuality. You know, because everything you see in porn, somebody somewhere loves doing. In fact, millions of somebodies.
Right.
The key thing is that we show you the real world version.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, on Make Love Not Porn, we have a ton of BDSM videos. We have a ton of kinky videos.
Yeah.
But, on our platform, you see the real world version.
Right.
You see the negotiation beforehand.
Right.
You see the agreement up front about what you are and aren't going to do.
Right.
You see the aftermath. You see the aftercare coming out of it.
Yeah.
And also, you see many things on Make Love Not Porn you will see nowhere else. Because, for example, we have a ton of role play videos.
Yeah.
Okay. So, people decide to play out various scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But only on Make Love Not Porn will you see where, a couple are doing a role play. And then halfway through, one of them goes to the other, you know what? This isn't really doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other one goes, yeah, it's all a bit meh, isn't it? They go, this is fuck, and then and that's great because it says this is very low stakes.
Right, totally.
It's fine to try something.
Yeah.
Find out you don't like it, drop it. Okay, did it? No, not so keen. Bye. And nowhere else do you get that reassurance.
Right.
But here are a couple of reasons also why we're so important, Miriam, because, as a unique business, we have a unique capability. Make Love Not Porn has the power to change people's sexual attitudes and behavior for the better in a way that nothing else can.
Right.
So importantly, our social sex videos are enormously reassuring because we celebrate real world everything. Real world bodies.
Yeah.
Real world hair.
Totally.
Real world penis size.
Yeah.
Real world breast size. Real world vulvas. And the reason that's so important is you can talk body positivity all you like. You can preach self-love till you're blue in the face.
Right.
At the end of the day, nothing makes us feel great about our own bodies like seeing people who are no one's idea of aspirational body types getting turned on by each other, desiring each other, having an amazing time in bed.
No, yeah.
In a world where popular culture tells us all the time, you are not hot, sex attractive or desirable unless you are this skinny, six-pack abs, look like this.
Totally.
On Make Love Not Porn, you see what people really find hot in the real world. Our members write to us and say, you made me feel better about my own body.
Right.
One man wrote and said, my girlfriend and I now feel able to be more open and sensual with each other because you made each of us feel better about our own bodies.
No, I think it's really true. I think that something about porn too is that there's just super skinny girls with super big boobs, and like men with giant penises, and that's not representative of what people look like. And I was just saying actually in a podcast episode I did recently about eating disorders, something that helped me actually with like getting over my own relationship with my body was hooking up with like girls that were of bigger body sizes and like actually getting turned on and just really enjoying the experience and realizing that if somebody of a bigger body size is super hot, then that means my body, no matter what it looks like, is super hot, Oh
my God. Absolutely, Miriam.
Yeah.
One woman left a comment on one Make Love Not Porn Stars video where the woman in the couple is large. She said, it is so empowering to see a woman of my body type being sexual.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And honestly, if there's one message to take away from Make Love Not Porn, and I've been saying this for years, it's this. What makes you hot is you. You are amazing. You are unique. You are special. What somebody connects with romantically, sexually is you.
Right.
And then your body is hot as hell because it's yours.
Right. I love that. That's really beautiful. And I think something too that you're talking about is, so it's kind of what Make Love Not Porn does is just normalize all these ideas around sex, around beauty, around love. But how do you get rid of this like conditioning that you talked about too, the social conditioning? So how is that possible? Because I know that you can watch this, feel empowered, but still have all these ideas from society that are weighing on you that you've internalized. How do you uninternalize that? How do you unlearn it?
No, it's a great question, Miriam. So the important thing about Make Love Not Porn is not just what we do, but the way that we do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Make Love Not Porn is a shame changer.
Yeah.
Okay. We are out to take the shame, the guilt, and the embarrassment out of sex.
Yeah.
And so that is why, as I say, I decided to bring every dynamic in social media to socializing sex with Make Love Not Porn. So when I say it's not just what we do, it's the way that we do it. Everything about our platform is consciously and intentionally designed to be social, to bring sex out of the shadows into the sunlight and normalize it.
Yeah.
So for example, when we were building our platform, my lead user experience designer, a brilliant woman called Uni Chase, she said to me, everything on the internet to do with sex is dark and black. We're going to be white. And so that is why, Make Love Porn has a white background because we are bringing sex out into the sunlight. we are building a new vocabulary for sex at Make Love Not Porn. And the reason that's important is because we don't talk about sex, we have no socially acceptable language to do that with.
Right.
The language of porn has rushed in to fill that gap.
Okay.
Not good for many reasons, including the fact that, as you would expect in a male-dominated industry, the language of porn is predominantly male-generated.
Right.
So the person who coined the term finger blasting didn't have a vagina.
Yeah.
Because if you have a vagina, you hear the term finger blasting, well, across your legs.
Yeah, totally.
The person who coined the term getting her ass railed never got his ass railed. Pounding, banging, slamming, wrecking, destroying.
Right.
All terms generated by people who do not possess the soft internal tissue to which those things are being done.
Right.
So on Make Love Not Porn, we tag our videos completely differently to the way that porn sites tag them.
Interesting.
We have a glossary we call the Lictionary.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So one of our tags is, when my team and I began building the platform, I said to them, I want us to find a word for the female version of blowjob that is as quick, easy, and simple to say. Because cunnilingus doesn't hack it, okay? Oral sex, okay?
Right.
And the reason I wanted that was because...
And not eating out? You didn't like it?
No, eating out is still cumbersome. Okay? Blowjob has found its way into the vernacular. Yeah. Okay, everyone says blowjob, like it's no big deal, okay? When something is quick, easy, and simple to say, it gets said a lot more, it gets asked for a lot more, and it happens a lot more.
Okay.
So our term for the female equivalent of a blowjob is a lick job.
A lick job.
Lick job.
Got it.
And our lick job videos are enormously popular. Make lick job love not porn. Because again, this is the real world. And in our lick job videos, as my friend sex nerd Sandra says, if your eyebrows aren't wet, you're not doing it right. and so if you want to know how to give a great real world lick job, check it out and Make Love Not Porn.
All right, cool. Definitely. And do you have any advice for like people in the bedroom, like having sex actively? I would say like in hookup culture, especially, it's very hard to speak up, you know, and have the communication that you're talking about. That's so important. Do you have any advice for people to speak? Because I know my podcast is called Faking It, and the slogan is fake it till you make it, not faking orgasms. Because faking orgasms is
never ever fake an orgasm, please.
Yeah, it happens all the time, and so many people do it. And I've done it before. Now it's like my mission to never do it again, you know. And like that's why I talk about this. That's why I have this podcast. So, what advice can you give to like women or men, you know, who don't know how to speak up in the bedroom but want to?
Sure, and
especially in hookup cultures, I would say.
No, because I've had a ton of casual sex.
Yeah.
And I'm making damn sure I have a good time. You know, if it's a one night stand, as much as if it's a 3-night stand or whatever. Right. By the way, I've never faked an orgasm in my entire life.
That's awesome.
So everyone listening, do not fake an orgasm, please, because you're ruining it for the rest of us.
Right.
So I think, you know, one of the reasons people respond to Make Love Not Porn is because, you know, I'm something, you know, which is not that usual, which is a 63-year-old woman who has a ton of casual sex with younger men.
Right.
So I know exactly what it's like to, you know, come across something where you need to speak up, you know. So I will go, right, okay, going to have to say something here.
Yeah.
And I know the moment I do, potentially the atmosphere will change.
Right. Okay.
But then I go, got to do it for all the other women he's ever going to go on sleep with. You know, I owe it to them. You know. And the thing is, again, basically, I'm a big fan of radical simplicity. I like to keep things very simple.
Okay.
The single biggest turn on in the entire world is to be in bed with somebody and know they're having a bloody amazing time because of you. Okay. That is the biggest turn on in the world.
Right.
And so, you know, again, you know, forgive me for speaking heteronormatively, but as a straight woman, recounting my own experience, I'll do this, you know, using my own experience. So, you know, the young men I sleep with, they absolutely want to know that they are giving a girl a good time. Okay? So what I've found is that when I speak up, they really want to learn. Okay. Now it's fascinating to me because, you know, I am my own research lab, basically, because, you know, everything that I'm addressing with Make Love Not Porn, I experience myself. So, you know, I always remember one young gentleman whom I met first when he was 19, and this is when he was 21, and he was staying with me here in this apartment. And he, very good looking young man. He'd had a ton of girlfriends. And so we were making love and I was instructing him how to make me come while he was inside me, you know, which is with exactly the right pressure on your pubic mound to get pressure on your clitoris, etc. So, you know, I was talking him through it and I had a fantastic orgasm with him inside me, which he absolutely loved. Yeah. And then we had a conversation afterwards where, I mean, I'd already kind of sussed this, but it'd been very clear to me that he'd slept with all these women and he never ever had anybody talk during sex or talk about the sex at all.
Yeah.
There are a ton of people out there having wordless sex.
Right.
Okay? And so first of all, he was lovely experience. And then he said to me, I've really learnt from you.
Yeah.
I am going to start communicating in the bedroom to make sure that we're both having a good time.
Right.
And in the case of another young gentleman, I showed him how to make me come with his hand.
Yeah.
And afterwards he went, wow, so it's all about communication. I went, yeah. Yeah. And by the way, Miriam, I said to you earlier that Make Love Not Porn is an accident. What is no accident is that my background is 38 years working in advertising. I've spent 38 years working in the business of communication. I know, therefore, that everything great in life and business is born out of great communication.
Right.
Sex is no different. Great sex is born out of great communication. Everything we do in porn boils down to one thing: talk about it.
Right. And what about ending? Let's say somebody is just having and they're not feeling it anymore, in a hookup situation. So that's usually when I hear that my friends are faking their orgasms and they just want it to stop, Right.
No. So what you do is you get your vibrator out. Okay. So first of all, every woman should own a vibrator.
Yes, totally.
Every woman should know how to masturbate, make herself come. Because if you don't know how to make yourself orgasm, how are you going to guide anybody else to?
Totally.
But I know, because again, I get a ton of people writing to me asking for sex advice and Make Love Not Porn inevitably, which is why, by the way, I now have a Substack, Dear Cindy. I have an advice column. So Spread the word. Yes. You can ask me anything. And I think as our listeners realize, you can literally ask me anything.
Yeah.
And the reason I started that, Miriam, was because, as I said, over the years, I've had so many people write to me for sex advice. And even if I'm up to my eyeballs building Make Love Not Porn and very stressed out about it, when I get an email, like I did some years back, a teenage boy wrote to me and said, I'm having sex with my girlfriend. Please tell me how to make love not porn, because I want to know, and my parents sure as hell won't. Right. When I get an email like that, I write back at length.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wrote back to him. He replied, my girlfriend went, where did you learn that? So basically, I get a ton of women going, I'm really nervous about the idea of introducing a vibrator because, it'll make the man feel insecure. And I go, no. What you do is, this is what I do, if I know that I'm not going to come through anything that the guy's doing, I go, hang on, darling, I'm just going to get my vibrator out. I don't ask permission. I just go, this is what I'm doing. I give myself an orgasm with it, whatever position or context. And the thing is, once the guy has seen you have a spectacular orgasm with your vibrator, he's going to be all about it from then on. When I do that, the next time we're having sex, the guy will go, you want to get your vibrator out again? because it's so much fun when I do. Right. And so, if it's a hookup, it's a one night thing, by all means, get your vibrator out, make damn sure that you're going to orgasm. We are all about orgasm equality, one to one.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I think everyone hopefully will take away from this conversation that they should be making love and not porn.
Precisely.
So thank you so much for your time. And it was really great chatting with you. Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cool. Awesome. And also, I think you should make your own podcast called Dear Cindy. And if you need help with that.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
Yeah. Do you know, people say that all the time.
Yeah, you should do it.
Well, I'm currently working to raise a round of serious funding for Make Love Not Porn because right now I've got a tiny team of 4. We're all up to our eyeballs. I'm wearing 18 hats. So once I've raised that funding and I can breathe and I can bring in, the full team I need to help me, then who knows? Maybe I will.
You should. I'll promote it too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's it. We're done.
Great.
Yeah.